Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 27 of the Unity Make an RPG series, and today we're going to continue with our stat allocation, and so we're going to jump right into it. Same project, like always, same folder. I'm in Mono Develop this time, and I'm in our base player script, so why don't you open that up. And we're going to need to add a new variable, and this variable is going to be an integer, and I'm going to go ahead and add it under our required XP. It's going to be a private integer, and we're going to call it stat points to allocate. And so this variable is going to hold, like it says, integers, and it's just going to have a number, however many stat points you want to allocate. Basically, this is what the player has. This is the amount of points the player can put into the stats they want. So I'm going to come down and make our public getter and setter. I'm going to do shorthand because it's quicker. We'll do our, let's see, we'll call it stat points to allocate. Do our get and our set. Boom, done. Alright. So now that we did that, make sure you Control S or save, however you save, and we can leave that script for now. We're going to go back to our stat allocation module, and just to go over briefly what we did last time is we have this private void display stat toggle switches, and I'll go into Unity and show you what it did, assuming it plays. So basically what we did last time is we created these toggle switches that when you click them, it showed you what was displaying, or what each of these stats did. Now you don't have to do this. You can make it so that they roll over. You can show different things. I just thought this is it's a simple feature. It's definitely not the prettiest, but that's just how I did the last project I worked on. So I wanted to show you guys a way to do it. Anyway, so what we're going to do today is we're going to start working on displaying the buttons that we want, and we're setting up the logic for that. But the first thing we need to do is get our stat points. So we're going to go ahead and make two private integer arrays. Okay, and the first one is going to be points to allocate. And then the next one, and it's going to be a size of 5 because we have 6 stats. And I realized there's one problem. These all should be 5. I just realized that now. The size of these strings only need to be 5. Oh no, they need to be 6. Excuse me. Okay. I'm confusing myself. Anyways, so we're gonna make two integer arrays. The first one's the points to allocate, and it's gonna be of size 6. And the next one is also gonna be a private variable. It's gonna be int. It's going to we're gonna call it points, or we're gonna call it base stat points. New int. Put the 6 in there. Control S to save. Now what these two variables are going to do is we're going to store all the base values that we start with. So these are the starting values, starting stat values for the chosen class. And then for points to allocate is going to at first it's just going to request, it's going to get the same thing. It's going to get the stat values, the starting stat values for the chosen class. But this is where we're going to modify it. We're going to use this one to modify our base stat points, and then we're going to save the base stat points. So it's just going to be the points to allocate array is going to help us to be able to compare to see what we've actually changed for the player. So what we need to do now is make it private, or we need to make a function. So we're going to make a private function. It's going to return nothing, so it's going to return void, and it's going to be, I'm going to call it retrieve stat points. We'll say retrieve base stat points. Now this is where we're going to run into some trouble because we haven't actually saved our class. So basically we kind of skipped ahead, and I just wanted to make the GUI to show you guys how this works. So what I might do What I am going to do is we'll work on to actually displaying the buttons, and then I'll work on the code, because we're going to have to add a few lines back in our display character function to make it so that we can actually retrieve the class values. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. What I'll do for now is I'm going to make a temporary variable. It's going to be it's going to be of base mage class or character class, and we're going to call it we'll just call it class, and we'll call it CC class. So for character class, we'll set that equal to a new base mage class. So the reason why I'm doing this is so that we can actually have some stat values to work with. If you remember, we haven't actually added a next button to or in our switch statement, we are just forcing us to start in the stat allocation case. We're not actually starting in the class selection, so we don't know what class the player has selected. Now we're going to go back and do that. I just want to get the functionality of the plus and minus buttons working before we do that. So maybe in the next video I'll show that. So this is why we set up this temporary CC class, just so that we can get some stat values in our arrays. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do our points to allocate. So we're going to go points to allocate, and we're going to grab the first one, so the first space, which is our 0 space, or the 0 index value, and we're going to set that equal to our CC class dot, and the first one's going to be stamina. And again, I still haven't fixed that. It's not a big deal. The spelling of stamina. Now I'm gonna go up here. I'm gonna copy all this. I'm holding Shift and using the arrow keys. Control S, Control V, and this is gonna go to a 1, and we're gonna change this to endurance. I'm gonna copy all this again. Gonna come down here, paste twice, because we have 6 stats. Go ahead and change the numbers to 0 to 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3. This will be 4, and this will be 5. We'll change this to what do we have up here? We'll have an intellect. Then we have strength. Then we have agility. And then we have resistance. So that's the first step. So now what we're doing is we're storing whatever values in the stamina variable in our base mage class. We're storing it in the 0 index, or the first index of our points to allocate array, which we defined up here. So now we're going to do that again for our base stat points. So right under our points to allocate 0, we're going to go base stat points 0 for the index. We're going to set that to their CC class dot stamina. I'll double click this line to copy it. I'm going to go under endurance, paste. Under intellect, paste. Under strength, paste. Enter, paste, and then enter paste. Go ahead and delete these blocks, or these empty spaces. And now go back and correct the index value. So we'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we got to change our the class stat. So we'll go to endurance and elect. Pretty simple once you guys understand kind of what I'm doing. Agility, and then resistance. Controls to save that, and this is going to be how we get our stats. Now what we'll do when we actually have it set up so that we know what we selected in our class selection case, like that class selection screen we made a few videos ago. Once we know exactly what that player selected, then we can show those base stats on the next screen. But since I didn't code that in, we don't know that, so we won't worry about it for now. So now what we need to do is work on displaying the stat buttons. So we're going to make add caps locks on. We're going to make another private void. We're going to call it display stat increase decrease buttons. And here we're going to create two for loops. The for loops are going to show our plus and minus values, and they will have some information. They'll have some logic in them that will help us decide whether or not we can add or subtract. So we're going to do another for loop, and it's going to be int I is equal to 0. We're going to go I is less than our stat to allocate. What is it? Points to allocate. Points to allocate. Dot length, which is just 6, and we'll add I. So this for loop is going to create our buttons. So we can have two buttons. We'll go. Make sure you put them in if statements. So you'll do if GUI dot, not background color, dot button. It takes a rect, so we'll do a new rect. We'll do 0, 0, 0 for now, just as a placeholder, comma, and then takes a content, and this content is going to be a plus symbol. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is go if GUI dot button is new rect 0, 0, 0, 0, comma, and this will be a minus. So what we did here is we're creating a plus and minus button. I am missing a parentheses here on both lines. So what we're doing is we're creating 6 plus and minus buttons. Right now they're all located in the wrong spot, but basically we're generating all the buttons we need for each stat value. So now we need to place them to the left or to the right of our stat selection toggles. So we know we need it to be 10, the same 60 times I 10. So that will give us the same spacing in our y-axis. So up vertical, so up and down. Okay. Now we want to make the buttons. We'll just say 50-50 for now. We'll keep it about the same size. These can be changed depending on your needs, and depending on if it looks bad. Now the next thing we need to do is shift everything to the left. Now this starts at 200 or 20, excuse me, from the left, and it extends out to 150. So we know it extends out to at least 170. So we're probably going to start this one at 200. Okay, so our plus button will be closer to our stat than our minus button. So if we know our plus button starts to the left at 200 and it's 50 wide, then we probably should be at least 250, so we're going to say 260 here. I'm going to control us to save. We're going to scroll up to our display stat module, and we're going to add our two functions. The first one is the retrieve function. We need to do that at the start. And then we're going to do our display increase decrease buttons. Control us to save. Going to go ahead and go into Unity. I'm going to press play, and you see we have our buttons. Now they're not doing anything, but they're working how we want. We have them spaced how we want. So this again, I'm going to probably leave the video here. I'm going to add a couple more lines of code, but then I'll stop the video. But this is how I'm going to have it set up. This is the general idea. We're going to have stamina, and you click it, it's going to show us the health. We're going to put the points, the actual stat value points, down here in the middle, and then we're going to have buttons. And actually, that's what we'll do. I'm going to pause, or I'm going to go back into our script, and I'm going to go ahead and display our stat values. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go base stat points. Actually, we're going to be using our points to allocate script. We're going to go erase that. We're going to do a GUI.label. That takes a new rect. We'll do 0, 0, 0 for now. And then this is where we're going to do our GUI stat points. So what we'll do is our points to allocate, you do the I the index of I, so it's going to run through all 6 indexes, and then we're going to do the toString function. And I believe I've covered this in a video before, but basically what it's going to do is it's going to convert those values to a string so it can output it in the Unity GUI. Now we're going to use the same 60 times I thing here, or 60 times I plus 10. We're going to copy that. We're going to get rid of the X or the Y0. We're going to start it if, again, we know if it's 10 from the left and it sends out to 100, then we're going to want that button to be, that's 110. We're going to say we're going to put it at, or the stat value, we're going to put it right at 100, and that should be in the middle of where we want it to be. We're going to make it 50 wide and 50 long. It's just a number, so it's not super big. Control S to save. Going to go into our Unity. I'm going to press play, and we should have numbers. And here we go. We have numbers, which is perfect. So this is showing us that we have 12 stamina, we have 14 endurance, we have 15 intellect, we have 10 strength, 10 agility, 10 resistance. We have toggle switches, so we know exactly, we can see what these do, or we can get rid of it if we want. And we've added our buttons. In the next episode, I'm going to show you guys the simple logic for these buttons. And then we'll actually have our stat allocation screen done, or at least the very basics of it. You guys can definitely expand upon it, make it look pretty, add some graphics, whatnot. I probably won't be doing that till much later, but anyways, it doesn't matter. Next video we'll be doing that. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments. Thank you for all the support. Please like and subscribe to my videos, and I'll talk to you guys next time.